take your hands to your low belly and just place them there very gently. Close your eyes and begin to breathe downward into the area encapsulated or embraced by your hands. And exhale, release. And all you're doing here is trying to direct your mind and your breath as the mind's emissary downward into the lower spine and everything around it. So, although it may seem unsavory, especially in the morning, inhale, give some love to those kidneys, intestines. Just imagine that they need to be massaged, and the breath, the diaphragm, allow that to happen. As you exhale, you can open your mouth and have a sense of just releasing any tension in the fascia, holding or encapsulating this area of the low belly. And this includes the hips as recipients. If it helps to rock forward a little on inhale and rock back on exhale, you can bring that motion like a rocking chair into the breath work. One more inhale, one more exhale. Now pause and just see if you can completely calm down this area of the lower waist, the hips. Pausing with the breath, not to try and forcibly hold the breath, just to relax, release. Take a big inhale, hold that, and then release. So if you're on the floor, you can walk your hands forward. If you're on your chair, you can just, and now people are jumping in, you can just put your hands or forearms on your knees and lean forward, breathe into the kidneys here, the back, the kidneys now as we look down. If you're just jumping in, we're doing some breath work into the different chakras of organ bodies. I'm in a chair, but you could be down in Sukhasana. Good. So get yourself situated. We're just taking 5 breaths in, a mild forward fold. Yoga All-Stars, you're welcome to open the feet and drop your hands down between your feet. But don't crunch the organ body here. So this intestinal area we're just breathing into for a few breaths, giving it a little bit of love. So core work can also mean opening and engaging rather than contracting. So let's come up and we're going to slide the hands up to the solar plexus area where the diaphragm is situated. 20 breaths, más o menos. That's for Janet. Inhale, feel the barrel rim of the lower rib cage expanding and then releasing. And again, you can pitch forward a little bit as you inhale to the front of your sit bones. You can exhale back. But don't make this into a big deal. And you're closing your eyes and just directing your mind and your breath into this particular area of the torso. Just checking it out. And releasing on exhale. Inhale. One more time. And exhale, full release. Place the hands on the knees, but keep your mind focused on the area of the diaphragm, softening it, smoothing it. So now we have the organ body below it, testes, kidneys, and we have the diaphragm just getting still. Then you inhale, hold that, And notice as you hold your breath on the inhale, that for most people, the throat gets a little tight. Sometimes the belly as well. See if you can just modulate that. Exhale, forward fold to your degree. If you're in Sukhasana, cross-legged seat, your hands can be walking forward. If you're on your chair, I'm just leaning forward. I'm being really easy with myself, having gotten my booster shot yesterday afternoon. But even pitching forward, I can keep the attention in the two areas we've worked on. So one could even, if it's hard for you to feel in your mind's eye, you can even feel, take your hands to your back ribs as we did earlier, and just breathe into those areas. And maybe pitch forward and keep the breath expanding those kidney areas. Simple stuff and yet profound as we clean house here. And now we're going to come up to the heart center. Inhaling and exhaling. And off you go at your own rhythm. Now I want you to include the two pieces that we've already done, the low belly, the mid belly, as the first way stations of the inhale. And then everything rises up into the heart. So we feel the residue or the rest of the exhale in the chest, the heart center, allowing us to relax the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the whole scapula and shoulder structure can integrate just by breathing and then releasing. As I said in one of the classes earlier this week, most people chest breathe when you tell them to breathe more volume. So we're going down into the cellar and then coming up into the heart. And then as you exhale, the heart releases. Everything else will release in turn. One more inhale. Exhale. Drop your hands down to your knees and pause. Relax your belly. Now, if this is hard for you, you can take your right hand to your belly, your left hand to your heart. Keep these two areas calm. You can stay longer if it feels good. Otherwise, inhale. And pause. No tension in throat. Belly is voluminous. Exhale, forward fold, whatever that means for you. Could be just simple. Could be deep down. Or if you're working on a chair, you could even take a forward fold here, lifting your hips off the chair, dropping your head. And this is a superior forward fold because gravity creates some space in the discs, in the vertebrae. Then you're going to breathe down into the chair, exhale, come up, and take a few breaths to feel those three areas: low belly, solar plexus, heart center. Now let's do one more just for kicks. We're going to cross our forearms to our shoulder fronts. Inhale. And exhale. Now if you want to bring a little vinyasa into this, as you inhale and rock forward, just lift your crossed elbows up to shoulder level. Exhale, come down. Let the breath lift the arms, the filling of the lungs. Keep the tongue and throat calm. And where your hands are located on the fronts of your shoulders, is a reminder to keep these shoulder capsules and upper traps relaxed. Bring full breath into the form. Maybe the scapula spread across the back like opening wings. You're breathing all the way up to the upper lobes of the lungs now, but mostly in the back, near the shoulder blades. Exhale, release, pause, hands drop, and remain relaxed in the, what we're calling the energetic core. Again, beginners, super helpful to take one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart, and just keep them calm. The heart responsible or the gateway to the upper chakras, the throat, the brain, and the belly, responsible for what's below, the basement. Okay, so then coming back to center, how do you feel? Hopefully you're ready to go for practice in a calmer way. So if you're in your chair, we take a twist. You can just take your right hand across your knee. You can also just spin yourself to the left. And use your left forearm on the chair, your right hand across your left knee. Inhale and exhale. With a little undulation of the spine, I want you to feel the side ribs. And of course, you can be doing this in Sukhasana. And then after 5 or so breaths, you're going to go to the other side. I love chair work in a way because it can isolate and integrate a little easier than most people's seated postures. So now I hook my right forearm on the back of the chair. I take my left hand to the outer right knee. Inhale, fill the lungs. Exhale, rotation. And just move here with the breath, so don't freeze in the posture. If your body feels like it needs a little movement this morning, you can rock forward on inhale and look forward. Exhale, you can rock back and rotate. And feel the pieces of the shoulders, the ribs. We're going to be working on the ribs today in particular. So I want you to feel the interaction of breath and lungs, these inner tubes, if you will, of the rib cage. Tends to get a little compressed, particularly in the cold weather. Okay, so now I want you to come back to center wherever you are, and I'll just come down and sit for those that are non-chair users. I want to take your hands now, you can do one at a time, and take the right hand and see if you can just feel these left ribs. Get your fingers in there. Take an inhale to fill the lungs. Exhale, all you're going to do is just pull gently your torso and your ribs over to the right. So you're manually moving the left ribs. Oh, and then maybe the left hand comes across to the right knee as an afterthought. But now really breathe into this right hand. Breathe into that rib cage. Inhale, telescope, and lift the ribs off of the hips. Exhale, just gently feel that the hand is encouraging the rotation. When we do the other side, the left hand comes across the right ribs, about mid-rib. Inhale, lift those ribs off of the pelvis, and then exhale, rotating just from the torso now. Let the hips be planted. So this is core strength. And then the hand, the right arm comes across almost as an extra, almost just doing nothing. So here's one of the important things as you take 5 breaths. You should feel the strength in the integration, the use of the core in the lateral body. And you're not chiropractically ripping yourself into a twist. It's good? Okay, so let's go right down onto our side body. Speaking of the side ribs, we haven't done Anandasana in quite a while. And you can pad under your left ribs if you want. And what you're going to do is just pretend you're at the beach and just pull your knees into a right angle, right knee over left, prop up your head with your left hand. And all you're going to do, beginners, is just breathe into those lower ribs when they contact the ground. Now, if you prefer to drop your head down, you can, or you can even do the classic, which is to extend the left arm straight out and the arm straight out. I'm just going to use my arms here first, my left arm, the palm of the sky, and then lay my head on it. For a lot of people, they need some sort of a towel between their head and the arm. But really, all we're doing is to breathe into those lower ribs. Can we roll onto our back, carefully cradling the head? Simple, soft practice today to start with. And we're going to roll over on that right side with the knees pulled up. Again, you have the option of propping up your head like you're at the beach. Just going to gently stretch the tricep in the back of that right arm. It's going to open up the accordion of the lower ribs, the right ribs. And just feel the ribs roll out, as you might roll out some dough for a pie. On the rolling pin ribs on the mat, can you feel each one roll up for the armpit and then roll back? Do you have some motion in those ribs? And again, you could have your arms straight, laying your head on your right arm. That works better for you. You could even have a towel roll, which I've done in the past. And carefully, maybe cradling the back of your skull with your right hand, roll onto your back again. Get yourself back on your mat. And if you have a block, you can grab it. I've got this ball, soccer ball, because I'm kind of a circular person more than a square person. If you don't need it, you could also take your strap in your hands, shoulder width. I'm going to show you and take a peek the block or the ball method. And now I've got my knees bent, I've got my soccer ball here. And I just take a few breaths to try and feel the space between the shoulder blades and the back ribs as I breathe and inhale. It's expansive. I'm just holding the ball. I'm not really trying to power or squeeze it. See if you can drop the upper arm bones back to the mat a bit. One more inhale. Then you're just going to just roll over to the left so your right shoulder lifts off the mat. Inhale in the center, exhale, roll the upper body over to the right, to your left shoulder. Now, if your head needs some padding and towels, you do this simple exercise. Now I could be squeezing the heck out of the ball so I can work my deltoids, my shoulder connection. But at first, I just want to feel what is called the proximal pieces of this movement, this vinyasa, which are the ribs. Just like we had before, rotating. Remember, our hand was doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Can you feel that happening now? Now, what about if you make little circles like the cowboy and the lariat, so that now, as you inhale, you travel back overhead. You can still see your ball. As you exhale, you bring the ball around one part of the circle, and now the arms are reaching toward your knees. Again, inhale back. I'm going in a counterclockwise direction. I'm laying my shoulders and letting my head, the back of my head, Then I'm going to switch directions. Inhale, reaching back one part of the circle and overhead. Exhale, forward. The whole, the head, the shoulders. Can you feel the ribs now expanding as you inhale? And then not only contracting, but contracting more specifically on the side you're rolling up from. So if I reach back, inhale, and the ball goes to the left and then forward, those left ribs are the ones that are contracting. So this is a little more sophisticated than the inline seam. And then let's come back here to the center. Release. Let's take a figure four, right? Shin over the left knee, just capture the left knee. I taught a class the other day, good old Healthworks, some of you are students there, trying to convince me to come back. But it was all teachers and managers. And they're, trust me, really need the yoga. Let's go to the other side. The hips are super tight. It's interesting. So all the work was on the back. As you breathe into these figure fours, if you're a little more advanced, or you can direct your mind beyond the gross architecture of the form, how the low belly, solar plexus, heart center area is doing in the pose. Are they wrestling? Are they in contention? Can you breathe some integrity and calmness into those? And let's place the feet down, let the arms come out straight out from the shoulders, palm to the sky. Inhale. Arch the low back a little. Exhale, ski the knees over to the left. Inhale the center, ski the knees over to the right. At first, just letting the head roll the same direction as the knees. Stretching the upper trapezius of the neck. As your knees go right, your head goes right. You can flip your left palm down on the ground. Spread your fingers gently, and that will light up that sternomastoid muscle from the shoulder to the left side of the skull. Go easy. Inhale the center, knees go left, head goes left. Keep dropping your head, flip your right palm down, chin to chest, or toward the left shoulder area of the chest. Spread the fingers, gently bring into the right side of the neck. Okay, let's work a little bit of what I'd call the head core Jala classic therapy. You're going to take your hands behind your skull and elbows out. And this is also tricking you into a little bit of core, but pretty easy. Inhale, arch the low back, and let the hips move forward, stretching gently the back of the neck like a mother kitten would draw length into the nape of the neck of the kitten. And then exhale, flatten low back, just float the head up and the elbows up an inch. So the head down, inhale, hips go forward, and exhale, come up. Not much, not a big crunch, because I want you to now do this on your own several times. And once again, simple movement, but how do the low belly, the solar plexus, the heart center feel when you come up to a challenge? And how's the throat in response? So the yoga is in the calm, skillful action of engagement without too much excessive tension. Okay, now we're going to hold our knees in our hands, and we can rock over to the left, you can rock to the right, and be playful. You could also take happy baby, grab your outsides of your feet, your big toes. And even this little roly-poly motion is the lateral core working. Advanced folks could straddle the legs out if you've had a good morning and rock over to the side. Maybe you can tap down with the left leg. This is just the advanced permutation. Tap down with the right. But otherwise, you're being gentle with your body and giving these kidneys, again, a rinse. So this organ rinse is part of the core. The organs in your core. Now, can you cross your shins and your ankles and hold your knees? Now, can we circularize the lower spine and the hips, just like we did with the arms? So you can roll off to the side if you want to take a peek. I'm just going to start to guide the crossed knees in a little circle. Inhale toward me, exhale away. And I'm going counterclock. Guess what I'm doing now? This is called Nauli, or stomach churning, not a savory name, then they go the other way, but it rinses the organ body. Any stuck energy, and so don't get too tight with this, just feel the organs in the core. Now, could you do it with no arms? Sure you could. And I'm not sure if Barbara's here today or any hardcore shtangis, but those that wanted to do this in the Padmasana, who are crazy enough, you can do the Padmasana. I'm just showing what's possible, and you get into this a little deeper, testing your core in extension. But go easy. If you've never done a Padmasana, you're not going to do it. And this is just working the obliques and so forth. Okay, so let's give what we've got a squeeze. Let's unwrap it. Let's take our feet down and slide one leg long, the other leg long. And just place the hands once again on the frontal hip bones. Check in with that low belly, organ body, outer glutes, which is why we're working. A brief waist station in the solar plexus. Just let the esophagus relax. A brief alighting of the hands on the heart, so that you take these pauses in the practice to check in. So now we're going to go back onto the side body just briefly. I'm going to roll over to our left side, and I'm going to have the option here of doing a little bit more work. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my left leg out long and my right knee's bent, and I'm up on my left forearm like that. So beginners, you can just take your right hand, your right knees, and inhale. You're going to lengthen between the hip and the shoulder, the left ribs. As you exhale, you're going to look down toward your left hand and just gently push into the floor with the forearm and the left leg. Inhale, gaze to the side, open the ribs, open the chest. Exhale, look down and press. And so the accordion of the ribs working. Now, some of you already figured out, if you want to go hardcore, pardon the pun, as you exhale and look down, you're going to push that outer left edge of the foot to the ground, lift your left hip off the ground. Watch the position of your left forearm if you're doing this, that it's slightly in front or forward of your left shoulder. Okay, can we just come up and do the other side? Spin around. The right leg is kicked out on my right forearm. I just cross my left foot up here. Put my left hand on it. So breathe into this right rib cage. Even if you were to just stay here, static, and breathe integrity into your right rib cage, which gets compressed. Breathe up to that right armpit. That's fine. So big inhale. As you exhale, look down. Push into your outer right hip, right down to the outer right foot. Inhale. Chest opens. Exhale. Pushing into right forearm, all the way from the armpit to the right heel. So if you want a little more intensity, when you look down, push, you lift up that right hip. Roll down and roll up. Watch the throat, watch the organ body. How are they reacting to the work? So if you've gone too far, people do yoga and they end up a mess because they're just forcing the interior of the body to do something the exterior wants, and the mind wants the exterior to do. So let's come up, and we're going to move up onto hands and knees, and take some cat and cow, accordion openings and closings of the ribs here. And then you're going to inhale forward and exhale as you draw the hips toward the shoulders. Take a peek over your left shoulder and C-shape the left ribs. So you're contracting the left ribs. Inhale the center and then C-shape to the right, like a dog looking at its tail. Just learning how to contract these ribs. If you want extra credit, sit back in Virasana, take a peek. Maybe launch your arms overhead. Stretch them. The next permutation is bring your knees a little closer together. Inhale. Exhale, look left. And just see if you can draw the left knee to the left elbow. Inhale forward. Exhale like a half crow. Or you can do it in a third variation. Inhale the left. Toes go back, tucked under. And then as you curl, look left. And pull that left knee, left elbow. So I'm going to leave it up to you, but really, the ability to contract the lateral ribs with the breath is what's in play. Let's all take a child's pose and let the head drop, let the low back become still, and check in with your organ bodies, the low belly, the solar plexus, and the heart. So a little internal work today. Again, think of the impact of certain poses. Everything is just neurotic, so to speak, in the organ. Let's try a down dog. You can bend your knees, or you can take your chair dog. Genie is here. Hug your inner forearms. Maybe bend the knees and look toward the hands. Inhale, exhale, straighten the legs. And just work a little cat and cow and down dog. When it's going to come down, hands and knees, sit back in Virasana and take a peek. So just to remind ourselves, these side ribs, we're going to pledge allegiance, right ribs, the right hand, the left ribs rather. Look to your left, inhale. Lift those ribs up. Then exhale, draw the torso over to the right. The left hand comes across to the right knee. Now you can stay here or take a peek. I'm going to thread my right arm. It's already underneath the left. Take Garuda Asana, square off, and then rotate to the right using Garuda Asana technology, which is really going to wrap that left shoulder and ribs. But the gentle way, using the right hand as adjusted, might feel better. Other side, look right. Let your left hand grab your right rib cage. Inhale. Exhale, gently draw it over to the left. And the right hand is just coming across. And breathe into the ribs, into the rotation. Or left arm under, right arm on top, Garuda Asana, and rotate in Garuda Asana. Release. Child's pose or down dog for 5 breaths, and we'll continue. So hopefully you're getting a notion of these side ribs. But let's do a little bit more work here before we get too involved. And we're going to do that same motion of C-shaping to the left and then to the right on exhale. And if you can, extend your left leg back, inhale, look forward. Exhale, look to your left shoulder as if you're going to touch your left elbow. Now kick straight out to the side of that left leg. So even if you couldn't do the opener, see if you can get that left leg extended. Look down at your right knee, make sure the hip is right over it. You're going to sit back a little bit into this pose. Maybe the arms walk forward, maybe the head drops. So take it to your own measure. For those that are not so savvy balancing, maybe you're working with a chair like this. Because we're all going to come up now and take our hands to our hips. Or chair folks, you can place your hands on the chair. Check out your left foot, toes, and foot at a right angle. And if you can get the hands to the hips, that's great. You need to keep the hands in the chair. The left hand stays on the hip, or the chair and the right arm comes up. And then you side bend over toward that extended left leg. A little stretch for the right ribs. Do that a few times, inhale up and exhale, contracting the left ribs, stretch the right ribs. Simple stuff. And then let's switch. So if you're a chair person, you didn't like the intro, you can just kick your right leg out. Otherwise, you're not working with the chair. It's kind of nice to work that C-shape extension of the right leg, inhale, and then like you're going to touch your elbow, right elbow, right knee, and then kick out and take your forward fold. If you're working on a chair, you can just do a forward fold on the chair. But as you sit the hips back, making sure your left hip is over your left knee, you can get a nice stretch there for a couple of breaths. A little opening of that right abductor. Then we're going to come up and just place the hands on the hips, toning the core muscles deep down in the low belly. So all that work we did to breathe down in here now. Make sure it's happy, engaged. And then the left arm comes up, inhale, and just side bend in this gate pose variation. The neck maybe happily drops toward the right shoulder, or whatever works for you. Do it a few times. But feel, because it's easy to get limmy, or use your limbs to just throw the body over. But can you breathe into the ribs, and then as you exhale, contract the right ribs, open the left. So even if your movement is not very extreme, if you have this ability to work in the ribs, it's good. Okay, let's all take a child's pose or a down dog or a chair dog, your choice. I'm going to take a chair dog just to show it. And feel the rib cage now. It's standing forward. You can either walk your feet to your hands, or your hands to your feet, forward fold here for a couple breaths. And then bend your knees, come up through chair pose, inhale, and exhale, stand it. Let's do a little bit of work with the hips and lunges. So some of you have a wall, some don't. And I'm going to show how you could use the chair if you don't. But those that have the wall at your disposal, you're going to take your right foot forward and lunge and your left shin back. And I'm going to take my yoga blocker. I've got a ball. You could have a towel. And I'm just going to put it between my left hip and the wall. And I'm going to get in as close as I can and just feel that engagement of the hip and the wall. I put both hands on my front knee. And then I'm going to rotate my torso to the left. And that's it. You're really squeezing the adductors. Now, if you didn't have a wall, you could use your chair. Same deal, but you don't need a block as your right foot forward, left foot back. And you can put your left hand on the chair, seat like that. Get the left hip right into the chair. You can even take your forearm around the back of the chair and snug it into your hip. And then you rotate your chest to the right. So this is simple stuff, but what are you doing when you're able to feel these ribs here helping you twist? Well then, advanced postures, for example, if I wanted to go into something deep like that, it all happened from my ribs. So if you're sitting here saying, this is so easy, then do this. Palms together, inhale, wrap the ribs, tap or wrap around the front knee, and see how that grabs you. Pardon the pun. Place our hands down on the floor, either side of the front foot, straighten the front leg and fold over it. Drop the head. Or working flat back with a long back of your neck. Then come down to the back knee. You're just going to switch sides. If you're near a wall, use the wall. If you've got your chair, use your chair. Get your left foot forward. And your right hip. You got the wall, you got a block, or a ball between your hip and the wall. You got your chair. A little bit easier. You can press your left hand into your knee, your right hand into the chair, and just engage the outer right hip. Engage the outer right hip. And transfer both hands to the front knee. Inhale, and you can rotate your chest to the left. As you do, don't use your hands as you normally would. Use your core, your lateral core. And you can bring movement into this. Inhale forward, exhale back. You can hold the chair back. You get a little pec minor stretch in the right shoulder. Advanced students, once you've learned the rib wrapping technique, if I were to have my hands on my rib cage, like a turret, and be wrapping, inhale, exhale, wrap. That wrapping allows whatever level of difficulty in the twist I want to occur. So advanced students, palms to heart, inhale, exhale, wrap right ribs. Just like we did with our guided hand. And anything you want to do here that's harder is fine. And then we're going to give it up. So folks that like to work with a chair, and I didn't see you jump in late, you could have your hands on the chair as you straighten your front leg, Parsvottanasana, and then you could come down with your forearms. But how are your 3 points of interest? How's your low belly? How is it working with the 2 hips, 2 pelvic halves? Are they happy? Move to the solar plexus. Move up to the heart. When those are happy, pose tends to integrate a lot better. Then we come down and release. So let's take a down dog or child's pose to even it out, your choice. And in your down dog, when your knees are bent or not, lift from those side ribs forward to the palms, like you're taking your shirt overhead. Come forward to high plank, come down into knees, and I'll show you what I mean. So here you are in Virasana. So if I were to cross my arms and grab my shirt like this with my hands, now I'm scraping both side ribs and pull the rib cage up like that. Okay, and then exhale, release. Watch the low back, keep your core. Inhale manually, wrapping the ribs and pulling in and lifting them. So again, in extensions, in down dog as an extension, most people are fixated on the distal extremities, the hands, the feet. Put your hand here, do this. But what about this lateral core? So whether you do child's pose or down dog, I'm going to do puppy dog pose. I'm going to launch the arm structure from this expanding side rib structure. Wow. Then I keep it as I come up with the legs, and we've got a full reach with the arms connected to the ribs, to the back ribs. It's huge. So try it. Then come down to Virasana again. Now I'll do a couple more twists, and I just want to point out that if you have any injuries or twists don't cater to, or doesn't feel good, you've got to modify. So we're going to do that same action we did earlier with a twist, literally. But first, let's do the simple thread the needle, right arm up, and then you're going to slide your right arm through and under the left shoulder rather, until you can get your right shoulder to the ground. Now, if you can't, and you're looking to your left, you've got to find some padding. Okay, so maybe it's a towel, or maybe it's even a block. But I want to pin that right shoulder down, and I want to find my integration, my hips, knees not too wide. I'm checking with my lower belly, my mid belly, my heart. And this doesn't have to be extreme, but I'm feeling like wrapping the right ribs across. And letting it happen in a more yin yoga way. Come up to center, a few cat and cow rotations. You can feel the difference as you come back to center. And then the left arm comes up, inhale, thread the needle. I'm going to use this little jacket from my right shoulder, left side of my skull drops, engage my deep core so I'm not putting weight on the head. And then I check it out. I breathe into the low belly. I breathe into the mid belly, and the ribs. I breathe into the heart. You fill those areas and get them to come on board and be happy about this rotation. And then you come back and do a few cat and cow movements, and finally a downward dog, and see if you've got more length. And then one knee and the other. High plank and sit down. So one last thing, this is just for the folks that felt like they didn't get their money's worth. And the subtleties are really where you want to go as you get further along, because they will allow you to do the extreme poses safely. For example, if I wanted to go to a side plank from down dog, take a peek, I bend my knees, I lengthen my ribs, then I drop the hips to the right, the toes swivel left, I come forward to a side plank, squeezing my underside ribs and my inner thighs. Come down, bend the knees, and I drop the hips to the left, toes to the right, and come forward toward side plank, squeezing your thighs as contract the underside ribs. And now this pose, which looks really hard, is doable with this contraction that we already did in the really basic format when we were laying on our side bottom. Just squeeze and contract. So remember this whole movement of the Pledge of Allegiance? I'm really rapid. Okay? So let's come down, take a child's pose. Dropping the hips, lengthening the arms. And then you're going to go ahead and lay down. Once again on our backs. Draw the knees in. And again, if you're on your back body doing anything and you're stiff, you can always take something under your head. The only caveat to putting something under your head, it's great if you're pulling your knees in, you're doing leg extensions, which you're going to do now, straightening the right leg to the sky and binding the fingers and the hands in the back of the left hamstring. But you wouldn't want to do it in bridge pose. So just do this simple extended leg. Sure, you can slide your right leg along the floor too, pull your toes back. And both feet, just breathe into the low belly area, which is the referee between the pelvic capsules, left and right. The solar plexus, which is the referee for the back ribs, mid-body, and then the heart, which is the referee for the shoulders, the throat, and the head. And how do they feel? Who cares if your leg is straight? How do the core elements feel in an extension? Let's bend, drop the left foot down, straighten the right leg, hold the back of the belly, the hammy. So breathe into the structures we started class with, and let the leg do what it will. Sure, it's engaged, the toes are flexed a bit. You can slide your left leg long along the floor. But most of us tend to freeze in these organ body structures, thinking core means hard work to the point of strain or freezing. And the energy in yoga, the flow of yoga comes from the open elements along the spine. So again, if you're going for the gold medal extended leg, you may lose the true putting of the pose. Let's take a bridge pose here now. Take your towel roll up from your head if you have it. Open the arms. Breathe down into that low organ body and roll the tailbone away. Exhale, come up. And then see how those areas feel. How does the heart feel? How the area of the solar plexus and those side ribs that we use, are they supporting this pose here and staying long and well structured? How does the low belly feel? And the psoas muscle through the inner legs. Is it getting overstretched? You need to bring your hips down an inch. And then you come down. Let your arms come out from the sides again. Inhale. And before, we're going to drop our knees to the left. We're going to stay there with our toes curled like the Wicked Witch of the West. Now I'm going to reach our right arm up to the sky. You can look at it. There's the right hand and the arm. Remember that while we can grab the right wrist and start to draw it, and grab it with the left hand, start to draw that right arm over toward the bent knees to the left. Come up and watch if you don't want to listen. Remember the whole trick of using the Pledge of Allegiance, wrap the wrist, the left hand. If you're advanced, you want to try and do that. And watch. Maybe I've got the rib wrap so much. I get my right forearm down, my left forearm down, facing the back corner of the mat, left corner of the mat. And I come under my forearms, I breathe into the organ bodies. Maybe I can slide the right arm forward a little. Just be careful with the rotation. Breathing into those back ribs. Thread the needle to go back onto your back. Left arm under right. Roll onto your back, arms Extend like a snow angel. Inhale, knees to center. Exhale, keeping the feet wide and planted. Ski the knees over to the right. So maybe for some of you, this is as good as it gets. And that's enough rotation. Otherwise, though, the left arm reaches up to the sky, and either by grabbing the left versus the right hand and drawing gently over, or advanced rib technology, plunge allegiance, right hand to left ribs. Inhale, exhale, wrap the left ribs, and roll your whole upper body over. Come onto your forearms. So this is an extreme rotation that some of you, we've done the prior work here, but just be careful. Maybe the left arm stretches forward a little more. And how do the organ bodies feel now? How's the low belly reacting? The solar plexus pop. Are you in panic mode? In the heart, and then we thread the needle, right arm under left shoulder, gently roll back. Take Shavasana. For any last postures you'd like to do, just let the legs be wide apart, the arms wide apart. And breathe. Now, if you came into class late, which many of you did, repeat the exercise we started with as we unwind, final minutes, by placing the palms with the quality of oven mitts on the frontal hip bones, on that lower area of the spine, the belly. How does it feel? There's a lot of stuff in there. You don't need to name it. You just need to feel it. You relax in here, you find your mouth and jaw relax, and you come up to the solar plexus for a couple breaths and just calm that down. So if there's any hyperextension in the low back, release it. And then you can place the hands on the heart. Relax this area, along with the shoulders, along with the throat, the back of the neck. And then you're set for full Shavasana, releasing your body from working. Just feel the solid ground supporting you, allowing your back body to unguard itself, and subsequently the front body exposed to the air. Imagine that even if you're not in a sunny clime, with gentle sun rays or some pleasant sensation, sprinkling on the front body, relaxing it. You're welcome to stay there on your yoga mat beach, or bend your knees, roll to one side, come up to seated, and we'll close off class pretty much on time. Take a moment to see how things are settling. Again, belly, high belly, heart. And bring the palms to the heart, not the chin forward. And all those are in order. The whole